Go ahead, guys.
How important has it been for the defense through 2 games to be able to switch between the 3 and 4-man fronts? Because in my memory, it's maybe taken you guys a handful of weeks before you maybe felt comfortable doing that in previous seasons, but so far it's been successful this early in the season.
Well, I think it helps us because it allows, well, it creates some problems for the offense that they have to prepare for the 2 fronts. It does take time to prepare for both fronts. We're fortunate enough that we've headed in and throughout all of camp and all of the second half of last season, so we can do those things because I think our players are intelligent, but we also have headed in with enough time to understand it so we can develop it, both packages. Whereas when you play us, you may only get 2 or 3 days to get ready, and it limits the amount of time you can put into each one. So I think it's helped us. Our personnel has helped us, no question. It fits our personnel because we have defensive linemen with depth that are playing well right now. And probably the more surprising part is the secondary has had depth to it, that there's, with the addition of Omar and a couple of addition of Spencer Perry, that depth has allowed us to play the other package probably more so than maybe what I anticipated going into the season.
You've had a chance now to look at 2 game films. I know the running game has been a concern of yours. What are you seeing, and how much do you spend during the off week working on improving that?
Well, we'll put time into it, and you go back and look at. It's really the teams that you played, what they did more so than what we're doing, because the first week Iowa State, their personnel was very good in the front 7. Last particular week, they played a lot of man coverage, and the passing was there because of the way they defended us. So it was more what they gave us last week, the first 2 totally different weeks of defense against us. So yeah, you want the numbers to be there, but the ultimate number you want is the score. And we created the 24-point lead at half because they were so focused on the run. It really opened up that passing game to do what he did. So hopefully that balance is kind of like going from a 3-man front to a 4-man front. Do you want to throw the ball or run the ball? And right now defenses are all or nothing one way or the other. And if that's how they're going to defend us, take what they're going to give us. If they're balanced, then we should be more balanced in our numbers and rushing to them.
Now that you've had a few days to look at it, what does it mean to get your 150th win here?
Oh, the thing about the 150 is probably, it's really the only thing. I think back of, one, the people that took a chance on me a long time ago, and I made sure to contact them, or try to, and get her, because Rick Hartzell was the one that hired me, and Dr. Bob Koob was the president at that time. And then all the people that were on those staffs, all the players that have won those games, all the people from academics. I mean, I saw Stacia, who is our academic. She's been with us 11 years. And think of all the eligibility and all the things that got to go on through that phase. So there's just so many people that put you in position to get to those games, to have a chance to win those games. That's what I remember most about the 150. It'll be those people that were significantly involved in helping us win those games. And sometimes it's not on the field, it's behind the scenes, and there's a lot of those people.
It's a typical off week for you guys practice-wise. Do you put the full pads on very often, or is it more?
No, we'll go full gear today. We'll be full gear today, and we'll go out there, and it's, to me, I feel we're in a very good spot right now with the 2 games that we've played. 2 quality games against a very good opponent at Iowa State. Got a home game that created some other problems for us against Southern Utah, another quality opponent. And we've came out of them, with the exception of Briley's injury. We're in a good spot right now, and we can learn from those 2 games and really address the strengths and weaknesses, and shore up some loose ends, gather some other players. I know our football team really good right now as far as personnel, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 guys that I need to find out this week about, and otherwise feel very good about the knowledge of what we have and going forward to get ready for the rest of the season.
A lot of times during that bye week, you'll move some guys around, maybe even offense to defense or a tight end to offensive line. You anticipate having to do much of that, or is it too early in the season to make a few moves like that?
No, I'll do it. I'll do it this week. This is the week to do it because some guys I moved around Xavier last spring. Where you play with some things, and if it works, you run with it, or you prepare for an injury that should only have 2 days for 8 weeks from now, and I only got 2 days to get a kid ready to play a position. Has he played it before, so it's recall and not all new to him. So I will look at some of those moves in anticipation of maybe an injury here or where I'm thin at a position. But probably the one that I'll look at the most is kind of the evident one is when Briley got hurt, that really changed some things for us. And so how will we shore that loose end up with the amount of time that we're looking at? And then you've also weakened that position in depth. So what are we going to do should something happen to another tight end, what do we do? So there's a lot of those things going on in my head right now because it's the weeks to play with it, to see what works and what doesn't work, and I'll do that within these first 3 days, Monday through Wednesday.
Think through these 2 games. You've only played 3 true freshmen. Is that a product of your depth where you haven't had to dip into those newcomers and you can develop them and bring them along? Or
I think it's a product of the depth, but it's also maybe a product of experience. And when I say that, it's our players are the significant players in your program usually are your juniors and seniors. And when they're fifth-year juniors and seniors and fourth-year juniors, fifth-year seniors, they're really significant. And it's unfortunate sometimes when you play a freshman early and he's good for you and he wins for you, but then you look at him his senior year, how much, if you could have had him for another year, what could he have done? So through experience, I know it's better to have a fifth-year senior. Through depth, I know that I have to play when I have to play him. And right now, through injury, through depth, it's been fortunate we haven't had to use them, but I'll go out there this afternoon and I will use the heck out of them to make sure they're ready if that time comes because of an injury next weekend, that young projected redshirt will be ready to hit the football field because of what we did this week.
You had said a couple weeks into fall camp that Omar Brown was going to play and make an impact this season. He's done that in a couple games. What have you seen from your freshman corner?
I've really very pleased with Omar. Omar went out there and he's been productive. They've gone after him. I mean, both teams went after him significantly, and he's held up. His production, we call it a production grade. His production grade is when the play is at you and you need to make that play, are you making that play? It's not a grade of how many plays. It's when the play is coming at you, are you producing? And his production grade has been very good for the amount of times that he's been attacked on the football field. So I'm pleased that way. I also know that he needs a lot of work because the more he's on the field, the more they're going to go after him. And he just needs to get better this week because the way they go after him will come off what he's doing on film. And if he's not doing things on film, people will see it and they'll go after him. So we have to make sure that we continually teach and find those errors before he's exposed.
going back on some words you caught, maybe you can clear the air a little bit. You said you discovered some more problems on the film, or some issues, or anything with the team?
On our team?
Yeah.
I've always got problems. I find problems before they're problems. So I create problems. But it's our job. I've always looked at it like this. If I can find everything at practice, before, if I can find what's going on with Omar before somebody else does, then nobody will know that what's going on with Omar and his production grade will stay high. If I can find our error in our football team what I would look at as an error right now, if I can shore that loose end up, then it will never be seen outside of here. So I'm always looking ahead, whereas all that matters is what happens on Saturdays. And right now, our Saturdays have been good, and I'm just trying to find those things that if we don't clean it up, it could become a problem later on.
Last week you had said that you were complimentary of Will, but you mentioned that him extending plays can't be his game, it's gotta be part of his game. In light of what he did Saturday, what do you think about him basically, answering the call of what you had mentioned here a week ago?
Yeah. two things. One, man, you guys listen to everything I say because you're getting me, but 100% right. Because what we came back after the second game is we improved in our passing game. We improved in our drop back passing game. What was significant difference from week 1 to week 2 is what I saw. Will was good in both games, but I thought Will's drop back game was much better this week than it was last week because he stood in the pocket, he stayed in the pocket, and he threw for first downs in a drop back game, not a spread game. So I was very pleased with that growth. I was pleased with our protection, and I was pleased with how he ran our passing game. So if you look at it on film, that was significantly different from week 1 to week 2. Again, he did make some things happen by scrambling out of the pocket, but by scrambling out of the pocket on a drop back game that he did very well in. So either way, I'm pleased, but we all see his strength. He's a talented young man that is moving forward, but at the same time, there's some things we got to shore up with Will too, to keep him in his growth, but yet let him be the player that he is too.
Where would you rank your 150th win on your list of achievements? If you could.
Oh, I don't know if it's in the rankings, to be honest with you. That's kind of a test of duration of time and that type of stuff. There's some great games in there. There's some intense games in there, and maybe some of them were all wins. I mean, the Iowa State game was as good a football game that was played. The Iowa game was good as was played. And I can go through the Appalachian State game that was played. I probably remember too many of the losses more than the wins. Those tight wins, those great games that were the most competitive games that I've been in. And then you go back to the ones that you've won. Beating New Hampshire at New Hampshire, beating Texas State. It was beating Chip Kelly, beating Herman when he was at Texas State, winning those intense games that were well coached by the other team and getting those wins as much as the intense wins when you lost those most competitive games. So, yeah, it's the ones you remember are the really tightly contested, well-fought, coulda went either way games, and you're up against a great opponent as a coach. As much as the team was up against a great team, the coaches were up against great coaches too, and that's what really makes it, what drives this whole thing is that competitiveness of going against the best.
How much does that achievement mean to you, though?
Honestly, I don't know if what means the most to me is all the people that helped make it happen. And I'm talking all the way back to there's so many friends in this community that have supported this program and supported behind the scenes, the financial part of our program. Those are the ones that make this all go. And then it's the players that made the plays and the families that went along with them, from the moms and the dads that are still contacting you after a close football game, from years ago, because they remember sitting in those stands watching their kid make those catches or kicks or whatever it was too for those big games. So those are the things you remember. I don't know if it's the 150 means a whole lot. It's just it's the people and what they brought to the game and the relationship of those times.
In the midst of 3 straight games against Big Sky opponents, I know the Valley is important to you, but how big are these games in a bigger picture, going out and going 3-0 against the Big Sky?
Yeah, I'm just trying to go 1-0 per week right now. It's every game right now. As you all know, it's not coach talk. It's critical. We treated that game like it was the Super Bowl. We probably put more time into Southern Utah than we put into Iowa State, and we'll probably put more time into Idaho State than we did Southern Utah, and it'll continue that down because the deeper you get into this, the bigger they get, and we all know that anybody can line up and play any day of the week, but when you're playing good football and you're playing good teams, you guard against dropping your guard and not being prepared as well you were the previous week, so maybe you prepare a little bit harder the next week, so you guard against dropping that guard. That's more like how I operate. So the more I worked last week and feel our team was prepared, the more I know I have to do the same, if not more, this week to get them right back to the same level. And that's how we kind of gauge our office, and that's how we'll gauge our football team is. You've done very well. I'll tell the football team today they did. I'm very pleased with where we're at and the way they're playing and the excitement that they're playing with. They're playing. They're having fun. They're playing with excitement, and they're playing with speed, and they're prepared. What I'll also tell them is that the moment that it becomes drop your guard because things are going good and it's time to let up just a little bit, that's the time that'll disappear overnight, because you got to work just as hard, if not harder, to sustain than you do have to attain.
Kind of along those lines, you had mentioned Saturday after the game that teams having fun, coaches are having fun. That seems like something that obviously has to come organically and, quite frankly, just may not happen every year.
It's the truth. It's the personality of your team. It's the personality of your coaches. It's how things evolve and how they happen with timing. And, we've been fortunate this year because of the makeup. People call it chemistry. Every team is made up a little bit differently, just like every year. Every family's a little bit different of how it comes together. And this one's coming together the way it is. And I try to feed off it and let it feed itself and play to it. And right now, the strength of this team is really the personality. There's a good cohesion of what the players are like and what the coaches are like, and it's a very trusted group, whether it's in the locker room or in the coach's office. A lot of us have known each other for a long time, and the players are trusting as much as the coaches are. And so I think it just gives it a little bit more sense of ease, of expectation, and thus, when you play well, it's always fun.
I think Idaho State, I might be wrong here, plays Utah this week. Do you guys break out some popcorn and some pop and have a real live viewing of this show?
For which one now?
Idaho State. Do you have like a live viewing this weekend? You guys
Oh,
just
for their
get
game?
together? Yeah.
Oh, the players, as much as they like being around us, they'll probably want to be the furthest from us on Saturday. But they need time off, and we'll give them Saturday and Sunday off, and I'll watch the game on film. I'm not going to watch it live, and I'll watch the game on film, and I'll probably watch a little bit of the Iowa State game to see what transpires down there, because being that we were just there, and the next game is the one that they're playing right now, and they got everything happened with College Game Day on there. We were just there and did what we did. It'll be interesting to see what happens this coming Saturday. Anybody else? Thanks.